Got an absolute banger of a replay today for you guys, featuring two channel regulars here with Cool Umbrella facing off against Koops. We've got Chaos Dwarfs versus Kislev, which is also, I feel like, a fairly unusual matchup. It's not a matchup I have a ton of experience in personally, but let's go ahead and take a look at the builds here, starting first with the Chaos Dwarfs. We've got Astrogoth here, a couple of Hobgoblin Archers, main line of Chaos Dwarf Warriors, including the Regiment of Renowned Blazing Beards. We've got some Goblin Laborers up front. Make that 4-5, actually. Chaos Dwarf Warriors, very interesting. And then some Light Cavalry Hobgoblins supporting, with the Death Shrieker Rocket in the back there. As for Kislev, we've got double Little Grom, so looking for some counter-artillery fire there, potentially. We've got 5 Kossars with great weapons, great armor piercing and melee, obviously. They've got their awesome pistol attack, just very strong in general right now. Some Griffin Legion as well, 2 Griffin Legion and a Winged Lancer, a couple Horse Archers, Ice Witch of Tempest up on a Bear. So she's going to have some decent armor piercing damage, obviously, and a pretty good spell loadout as well. We're looking at Hailstorm here, and Gust of True Flight for extra range and accuracy. You can see this little Grom is already taking advantage of that. Try and pop some shots onto the Death Shrieker there in the far distance. So interesting to see that. Death Shrieker's responding by hitting up these Kossars, just blasting away with the multi-shot rocket here, as you will see. So, yeah, some of those shots, it looks like Koops switching on to some of the Chaos Dwarf Warriors, which is a decent call as well. I mean, the Death Shrieker does outrange him slightly, and he doesn't want to come too far forward here, risk the little Groms being eaten up in melee. Might as well just accrue some value, killing some models off of these Dwarf Warrior units, or this Granite Guard as well. The Chaos Dwarf Blunderbuss ROR would be a pretty good target. But since these Archers are kind of stacked up on the Chaos Dwarfs right now, you can get a 2-for-1 there. Winged Lancer is also going to come in and just crush these Hobgoblins, no question. Start to get a decisive cavalry advantage. Koops is definitely going to need to work with his cavalry. He's got quite a bit of spend there. And there's a lot of ranged units potentially compromised, so let's keep it in a wide view, see how it does. More Griffin Legion over here. We've got that wind spell there from Astrogoth that I'm forgetting the name, the Hellhammer, that's right. Just wrecking some Kossars and Laborers in equal measure, but obviously it's much more cost-effective to wreck the Kossars. A lot of the Kossars have already taken significant damage, the ones here in the center, and mostly just cut through the Laborers at this point, so cost-wise not the best trade in the world, but it is affording this little Grom, both of these actually, to get some good firing time. It looks like they did switch over onto the Granite Guard. Again, great target. We're going to see a Hailstorm Bombardment also fall in. Cool Umbrella is able to somewhat dodge that, but does take some damage on it, especially on the Hobgoblin Archers, but Granite Guard, of course, much more important to dodge with. But yeah, Koops now with a nice decisive cavalry advantage on this flank is going to be able to sweep with the Griffin Legion, get these Horse Archers out in space. I think it's a little bit of a mismicro here. I don't know if he had intentionally, or probably intended to put them a little bit closer so they could try and shoot the Death Shrieker with their bows. Try and do some damage there, but he's going to get them rolling in relatively short order, so let's take in some more of these beautiful cinematic views of these Griffin Legion here. Look like they might be going for that Granite Guard, but since they're stacked up on that Chaos Warrior, it'll be an extra tough target. They're going to kind of peel, not get the best charge into these Hobgoblins, but it's something. Wing Lancer's coming from the other side there. Also, I don't think necessarily had a charge order, but looking back, leadership situation here, Ice Witch getting caught up with Astrogoth's not a good time. She summons up her Snow Leopard to give some frostbite and escapes off into the snow-covered hills there. Very appropriate battlefield, I feel like, as well. But man, that Death Shrieker is definitely landing some pretty decisive shots, and Koops now activates his Horse Archers to help come in and shut down some more of these ranged units. I really think probably should have just peeled one at this time to go after that Death Shrieker to try and shut it down now, because it is going to get some more firing time here. But yeah, Cool Umbrella also trying his best to get his units free, but a little bit of blobbing up here as the Granite Guard kind of get run into the Beards of Bazook here, and it's going to allow these Griffin Guards to just get a beautiful envelopment charge in here. Sets up a just devastating blob for another ice, or a hailstorm here, rather. Is that what it is? It's hailstorm, right? The ice bombardment thing. You know what I mean. Yeah. You know, I actually am looking forward to Kislev getting a DLC so that their roster's a little bit more fleshed out. I'll probably play them more. I mean, their roster is pretty good right now, and I definitely enjoy playing them to a degree. But anyway, getting back to the battle here, Astrogoth's going to peel away from attacking Little Groms. He then gets blasted by both Little Groms. At pretty close range, they're going to land some pretty decisive shots there. Eventually, this Horse Archer does come to kind of poke the Death Shrieker with their bows a little bit, get its HP down so they can then move in to kill it in melee. So finally, this Death Shrieker is hopefully going to get shut down and stop shooting. It's been doing a great job. It's got some insane values so far, no doubt. But Kislev's Hybrid Cavalry will be able to shut it down here. Yeah, already routing off there, so good combination of bow and melee usage there to finally get it off the battlefield. Meanwhile, the Griffin Legion here, Winged Lancers, are starting to suffer some pretty significant casualties. Granite Guards obviously have armor piercing and melee, right? They're like a great weapon blunderbuss unit, essentially. And the Chaos Dwarf Infantry is also not pushovers. They've got higher DPS than regular Dwarf Infantry, right? And just overall pretty tanky, right? They have a lot of armor, good melee defense, so they're going to be able to hold out against the charges of Griffin Legions fairly well and fight back hard. High mass, too, so they won't get bowled over quite as easily as other infantry would. But both the Little Groms, Cool Umbrella's been doing a really good job of trying to keep them disrupted as much as possible, but Astrogoth's kind of been running around in circles a little bit here. He finally does come back to pummeling Little Grom, which he probably should have been just focused on pummeling Little Grom this whole time, rather than trying to chase the, I don't know, what did he chase around? I'm not really sure. Was it the Ice Witch? Which on the bear is going to be faster than him, so it's not like he really has much of a chance of fighting, or catching her, rather. But yeah, she's going to come way over here, start to rain some more hailstorms on the Blazing Beards. Little Grom trying to get some point-blank blasts into those Chaos Dwarf Warriors, but now just pulling back. This Little Grom does get routed, and Astrogoth is going to chase it. Again, arguably a mistake, as it is going to afford this Little Grom an opportunity to switch targets onto him and try and blast him to smithereens as he's pursuing there. Now, Winged Lancers once again in a nice charge. Unbraced, those Blazing Beards are going to take some damage, but surprisingly actually do a decent job of stopping up the mass of those Griffin Legions there. They took that charge a lot better than I thought they would. But both units basically just slaughtering each other at this point. Blazing Beards are going to hold on a little bit longer. And yeah, that great leadership. And Kislev's got really good leadership too generally, but Fireblood's already been popped, so those units will just rout there. Nice to see Griffin Legion perform, though. I mean, they have been an absolute MVP unit here. 1482, or 1462 rather, on value. 13,000 damage tail on that unit. Pretty good stuff. Still got some Horse Archers around as well. That Horse Archer that went to shut down the Death Shrieker, Full Umbrella was able to kind of rally some forces together, regroup these Hobgoblins and the Chaos Dwarfs, and actually get the Death Shrieker bailed out. That said, Koops is going to just switch targets here, and, yep. Bye-bye, Death Shrieker. It was nice to know you. Yeah, that Horse Archer managed to hold up quite a bit of value as well in terms of both damage done. Yeah, 432 on a unit of Horse Archers, just fantastic. But it does allow now Cool Umbrella to bring in some more reinforcements here, as long as he can survive long enough. And Astrogoth is still trying to chase that Little Grom off, so that affords this Little Grom more opportunity to just shoot up these Granite Guard here, blast these Chaos Dwarf Warriors. So right now, Koops is looking to be in a pretty good position, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Astrogoth still being quite healthy is quite dangerous, obviously. And this unit of Chaos Dwarf Warriors here as well. Koops switches on to another target, which he doesn't necessarily have great line of sight on. Looks like the hill is kind of blocking Little Grom there, and even though it's pointed up in the sky and has a pretty decent arc, it's still more or less direct fire artillery. This Horse Archer charges in, and I mean, they're fighting a lot of armored Chaos Dwarf infantry, so it's not going to go particularly well for them, and all of a sudden things start to look a little bit more dangerous for Koops here. Pull up some more cinematic shots of these tattered Chaos Dwarf forces advancing. Granite Guards are going to get a volley off and then probably just rout. Yep. Looks like they just shattered. Or routing at least, yeah. And the These Hobgoblin Archers, 39 unit models left still alive. It's pretty significant. Not to mention, all these Chaos Dwarf infantry are still fighting, even though they are all quite tattered. Their leadership is going to make them tough to break. So the Ice Witch moves in, going to get a nice explosion there. Try and deal some AoE damage with the bear attacks. But she herself, only 75 armor, so in that weapon strength of the Chaos Dwarfs, 9 AP plus 25 base weapon strength is pretty decent in this round. They'll definitely be getting hits on her slowly over time. And she does have to hold out against all of this infantry, more or less, while Little Grom tries to blast Astrogoth, which it looks like a nice shot there. Takes a big chunk out of his HP. Yeah, Little Grom definitely should just stay focused on Astrogoth completely at this point, but Ice Witch is failing to break these Chaos Dwarf Warriors, and Winds of Magic-wise, I don't think Koops has any more bombardment spells available to him. This Hailstorm here, yeah, does some pretty decent damage, but I don't think he has enough Winds of Magic left for too many more casts. Not to mention, again, those Archers have enough volume. I mean, not the greatest armor-piercing damage in the world, but 3 AP is definitely not bad. It's, you know, kind of on par with most regular mid-tier Archers. Yeah, so Astrogoth taking another volley there. We're just going to keep it in wide view with all the health bars up for now so we can see how close this gets. The Ice Witch here, their leadership is falling. Looks like we do see a cascading Fire Cloak on those Chaos Dwarf Warriors. And they're going to occupy the Little Grom in melee. Not enough to keep him from firing, though. Unfortunately, the Ice Witch is just taking a lot of damage here from the Archers and the Chaos Dwarf Infantry in melee. So we'll pull up the cinematic cam now, as it's looking like... See if Astrogoth can get sniped here. Oh, he survives that shot, manages to get his charge off, so it looks like Cool Umbrella is probably going to take home the win here at a crazy close back-and-forth game between these two players. Definitely mad respect to both of them. I mean, they both made some mistakes, but, you know, small things either way could have changed the outcome of the battle. I think the biggest thing for Koops, honestly, is just to, yeah, detach one of those cavalry to kill that Death Shrieker a little bit earlier, and then from Cool Umbrella's perspective, just keeping Astrogoth focused on these Little Groms as a primary target. But in the end, it ends up being just insanely close here. A little bit of RNG, even with the decisions that were made, even a little bit of different RNG. Some different, you know, dice rolls, you could say, from a tabletop perspective. Would have changed the outcome as well, so mad respect to both players. It's definitely a fun one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well. Nice photo finish there from Astrogoth striking a pose. And it's a beautiful game, honestly. Yeah, all things considered. I mean, the Death Shrieker just barely pays for itself, which is interesting. I would have thought it would have got a lot more value, but maybe not so much. These Chaos Dwarf Infantry really shine through, though. I mean, 4 of them actually paying for themselves. Only one of them does not. 1261, too. On a basic shielded infantry like that is fairly solid. Them being able to grind out that much value is pretty good. One Archer also staying alive into the late game was super clutch, and somehow this Laborer gets 450 value. Not really sure what happened there. But Little Grom's definitely a clutch pick in this matchup. I like having double Little Grom here, actually, in this build. It seemed pretty strong, supporting it with the cavalry as well. Koops generally did a really good job. All of his cavalry is going to pay for itself. The Kossar front line, I kind of understand to a degree, but it's not... I guess you don't really have any good frontline units in this matchup, really, because you can take the shielded Kossars, which are slightly cheaper, but they're not going to do as much damage if they do get into contact with the Chaos Dwarf Infantry. Of course, you can't know what your opponent's going to bring, but it is nice to have option. Maybe I would take some shields just to give them a little bit more defensiveness in the initial kind of phase, and then, I don't know. You guys let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, but I'm certainly not a Kislev expert by any means. Like I said, I need to kind of brush up my skills on them. So when the DLC does come, not that I know when that would be, but when it comes, I'll be ready to play some Kislev matches. So anyway, that's it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.